romantic comedy, sci-fi comedy, and there's a spot where the main characters just don't want to do what this created woman who plays Kelly LeBrock wants them to do. They're not acting like heroes. So she creates a scenario at this party where the mutant biker gang from Mad Max and from Hills Have Eyes basically crash through. Here comes this man appearing in the middle of Weird Science. So tell us about the experience on Weird Science. Weird Science does not get a lot of love as one of the best John Hughes movies. To me, it's the top. I know that there's other ones that have bigger names, but what was your experience like working with those actors that nowadays have got really big names on that set when they were only teenagers?
Well, I sensed right away early on during production that Robert was going to take off. He had a charisma, he has a sensibility. I mean, Parenthood, I saw him in that. I mean, brilliant movie, great performance. This guy's going to go places. Everybody was delightful to work with. Robert was profoundly proficient at expressing his creativity. And John Hughes just had that sensibility, kind of like Red Skelton did. It's like my grandmother used to say, be childlike, not childish. So John Hughes had the same philosophies, so did Robert. So John wanted to have a story that would embrace young teenage, that phase of your life, and he depicted it very, very, very well. So we all understood the sensibility of the limitation, where we were going to take it, very honestly. So when they're in production, I was on the set during my days off because some of the stunts were incredible. For instance, when the piano player winds up getting up the chimney, well, that was in a sound stage, and she actually went from like 40 feet up and dropped without rigging into that pond. So she was quite the stunt woman. When the rocket gets pushed, the missile gets pushed up through the floor, that was on a hydraulic ram, and they pre-cut with a saw and glued all the pieces together. So I was right there by the camera. It actually got shoved all the way through to the roof. When it rained books, it really rained books, no CGI. And then my very, very dear friend, Bill Paxton, he was so delightful. When we first had a chance to have a conversation, I said to Bill, I go, Bill, you're my favorite whiner. And he goes, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? I go, well, in True Lies, Tom Arnold says, hey, get out of here, dumb shit. Okay. And when you go to try to sell the Corvette to Arnold and you're talking smack about his wife and he slaps you, and he goes, yeah, but I wasn't whining. I said, I'm getting there. Aliens, game over, man. And a few others. He was delightful, and just so honest in his performance, so easygoing. And we worked really long hours. We worked 12, 14 hours. So you become family when we need everybody to be on board. So the sensibility of that age of childhood being depicted from the perspective, honestly, of the kids, like when they went to the bar and they got drunk and they're talking smack, it still didn't make them heroes. So we arrived, and my dear friend Vernon Wells, we put him through the ringer, and the dialogue is ridiculous. What's a couple of blah, 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 blah doing with a gal like this? And then, Kelly goes, oh, I have an idea. Because when Hilly, when Vernon's got her and he's got the gun, the boys have to, all of a sudden the squirt gun turns into a real gun, and Vernon takes a shotgun and he leaves. I figured when I go to exit, I need something clever to do. So John Hughes comes up to me and he says, we're getting the camera set up for the exit scene. Vernon, is angry, he leaves, he's dejected, he's been conquered. And what if you had an alter ego in real life? I says, so we talked about it. I said, well, what if he was a school teacher to these kids? And he goes, brilliant. So please don't tell anybody about this. I don't want to lose my teaching job. And then I take the motorcycle, and as I'm pushing the bike across the camera, you don't want to cut and then cut back into it if you're moving, because it'll shudder. So especially if you're delivering dialogue. I learned enough from doing Cuckoo's Nest and other things to where I go, I'm going to be sneaky and do what I want to do, and it has to be in the final edit cut unless they reshoot the scene. And that's what I did. I said, I don't want to lose my teaching job. And I go, God bless. Now, I said God bless for a reason. There was a TV show called The Red Skelton Show back in the day. I went to grammar school with Red Skelton children. Richard Skelton had terminal leukemia, and about in grade 6, Red realized that he didn't have long to live. So he wanted to take him and his daughter and wife on a trip around the world so their son could see the world before he became bedridden and passed on. So he went to the studio, and Red said, I'm going to take a hiatus. I'm not going to work for about 6 months. I'm spending time with my son. And the studio said, well, you can't do that. We won't have any content. We'll sue you for breach of contract. He said, you go right ahead. And then I'll tell everybody how wonderful you were. They came back to a meeting. They go, hey, we want to sponsor you now. And he goes, TWA's already done that. Now, at the end of Red Skelton's show, he used to say, I want to thank our sponsors, our viewing audience, and thank you for allowing us to be your family's entertainment this evening. Good night for now. God bless. And so I did that as a shout out, as a being aware of what a wonderful gentleman Red Skelton was. And that's why I did that little shout out, and God bless. And when he said cut, he kept it print, and we didn't redo the scene. He appreciated it, and John goes, well done. So every once in a while you get a wink and a nod to someone or a situation that made a difference in your life. And that's one of the blessed things about working in our industry. I met Paul Newman when I was doing The Crow with Brandon Lee. He was doing Hudsucker Proxy. We were in North Carolina. And Paul and I had a conversation, and he explained to me about his charity, which is part of the Bogey Creek Gang, which is General Schwarzkopf, Arnold Palmer, and Paul Newman. And what they do with the Paul Newman products, by the way, is to raise money for facial cranial reconstruction for children that have birth defects above the neck. I kind of know all about that. And he invited me to Florida, to the Bogey Creek Gang, which is down south. Anyway, what they do is they find children with parents with children that have special needs, and they invite them to a camp in St. Petersburg, Florida, with little houses for them to live in. They even have people house sit at their homes so the entire family can be with them in St. Petersburg at Bogey Creek, so they can meet surgeons that will reconstruct their children's faces and skulls to give them a better quality of life, and it's all paid for by that organization. So, you know, people say, what's it like to be famous and all that? I says, it's nice, but what really matters is the fact that you can meet wonderful, wonderful people. Everybody has a story. Every single one of you has a story. Every single one of you can make a movie out of your life. I know that there are moments in your life that would be incredible on screen. So when I do these shows, and I've been doing them for 30 plus years, I'm with family. You are all family. Why? Not just because we like scary movies or this or that. It's because we have a sensibility about you. There's something about you that is different than going to a sports convention. Hey, you hit a lot of home runs. Yeah, that kicks ass. But what do you do? What motivates you? What's that spark? What makes you want to get up when you're tired and take care of business? I mean, you're a parent, you're tired, you're raising children, and you hope they love you later. Bottom line is, everybody has a situation. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to make a difference, a little difference. You never know what that little random act of kindness can do to somebody who you'll never meet again. You have that exchange. You have that intersection of you met this person, and you don't judge them. Don't judge them. Just, what's going on? How's your day? Something as simple as that. And I ask that question a lot when I'm convincing with people at the table, and I appreciate being able to pay my mortgage and all that good stuff. But I like to hear from you, and I do, and you share, and you tell me things that just blow my mind. I met people that have had incredible costumes on, and you wonder, I wonder what they do in a day-to-day 9-to-5 job. I met a guy today who is a research biologist. I've met people that have worn outfits that you go, oh, that's creepy, and they're firemen, sheriffs. I met a guy that works at a prison. I did a movie in Wheeling, West Virginia, at the prison where they had the riots and they killed all the guards but one. I met the son of that particular gentleman, and he told the story. The reason that his father lived is because he did his job, but he treated them with respect. But he had to watch all the carnage. Oh, wow. So what is the lesson? The lesson is, we're all in this together. And I love working with youth. I used to do drug and alcohol awareness programs through my friends in the Optimist Club. And I would do 5th and 6th grades. Now in 5th and 6th grade, you don't want a grown-up to tell you to do squat, right? That's okay. I was the same way. So I go to this classroom and there's parents in there that are volunteering and they want to see how the education's going. And it was about the time when I said, just say no. That's not enough. You got to be more honest to your kids. Don't bullshit them. So my friends, and one of them was a retired Marine, the other one was Chief of Police for Dade County, Florida, Richard Kroom, who, by the way, for all you older folks, he's the guy that booked Jim Morrison the night of the Miami incident, which was BS. It was his hand. The most intelligent guy I ever booked. His father was an admiral, you know. Yes, I know. So I go to this classroom, and the kids are bored. You go, here's some old guy's going to yap at us, but we don't have to do lessons for an hour. So I go, hi kids, I'm here, you're not doing lessons for an hour, I'm going to yap at you, and you got to listen to what I have to say, because that's just the way it is. But you know what? I'm going to tell you some things that you might or maybe not want to hear, but they're telling you drugs are bad. I'm going to tell you, what if drugs are good? Well, I got the attention of every single kid. And I says, I'm going to write the name down of some drugs that I want you to use and do every day. Now the moms are just getting totally flipped out. And my friend, ex-chief police, he's going, just wait. So I start writing words on the chalkboard. I says, you pull out your science book, and the first one that tells me what these are, and I'll give you an autograph picture or a cookie or whatever. So here's what I write down. Adrenaline, endorphin, serotonin. And the kids are going, well, thank you for not, giving us a bunch of BS. Yeah, I've heard about this. Well, what are they? Blah, 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 blah. That's right. And you know what? It costs you no money. You might have to exercise to get the effect of this or that. Your body makes them. They're good for you. It won't cost you any money. Nobody's going to hurt you because you didn't pay your drug bill. Oh, you know who the biggest drug pushers are? Pharmaceutical companies. It used to be illegal to advertise pharmaceutical patent medicines on TV. Somebody gave somebody a bunch of money, they changed the laws and the rules, and now what do you see every day? Take this. We're obligated to tell you that it might give you explosive diarrhea. Thanks, yeah, I really want to take that. You go to your doctor, what do they do? They have a prescription. No, I want real medicine. I'm just one of those kind of instigators. So, how do you have a healthy lifestyle? Wonder Bread helps build bodies 12 ways. There was a lawsuit that made them not have to say that because they fed lab rats white Wonder Bread and they died. They starved to death. So what youth wants is for us just to be honest with them. Just be honest with them. When I was a kid, there was a wonderful movie by Joe Dante called Matinee. Anybody seen it? It's a wonderful film. Okay, kids in school, duck and cover and the nuclear bomb won't hurt you. And this little girl says, it's BS. Here's what happens. Your body melts, the skin falls off, you're going to die, it won't help you a bit. They're lying to you, and they're just not giving you all the right information. And she had to go to the principal's office for that. Well, I grew up, yeah, right. In school, they said the same thing. Well, my father was at Nagasaki. They weren't telling it straight. No BS, tell it straight, because the kids can handle it. They can. So there's going to come a time when you want them to reach out to you and say, hey, I've got a query, I have a question, I have a situation. If you're a parent, you want that phone call. You don't want that, you come help me in emergency, this or that happened. No, you want them to be self-assured. And how do you do that? Straight up, no BS, tell them the truth. You don't have to give them all the grisly details. They have an imagination. So my point is, we tell stories. Some of them are just pure entertainment. Some make you laugh. Now, Brett Butler is a stand-up comedian. She has a very famous interview where she says, "What is it that you do?" "I tell stories. I'm going to tell you something that makes you laugh. Then I'm going to tell you something that makes you think. And then I'm going to give you something to help the medicine go down." So when you're laughing, it frees up all of that wonderful energy. I want to give you a little bit of wisdom from my Nana, my grandmother. Okay, ladies, this is a beauty secret. You don't want wrinkles? Then I want you to be lazy. What I mean is, I only want you to use 3 muscles to smile. You know how many muscles it takes to frown? 27. It's not a fix-all, it's an open door so you can investigate alternative choices. We're so overwhelmed with the internet, and I have my memoir. I'm trying to get my book published, and the bean counters that are going to look at the 12-chapter summaries want to know how many people I have on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 who's following me, blah, 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 blah. They're going, really? Okay, if that's what it takes, I'll do the best I can, but what about the story? You see, everybody has a story. So you have to defend your story. You defend your life. You believe in who you are. If you're not sure, eventually you will find out who you are. If you let other people manipulate you, take advantage of you, it's probably because you're making decisions based on fear. Well, we tell fearful stories. Why? To give you a challenge so you can rise up to a situation. You go, I think I could do that. I could handle that. Why are they a hero? Because all hope is lost. Dark night of the soul. I don't know what to do. And they manage to pull it through. That is what we do. Whether it's a comedy or scary or challenging. So, it's all good.
I don't know about you guys, but that was some serious knowledge that was just thrown away right there. I love it. And I will tell you this also. First, yeah, let's give a big round of applause for all that. So like I told you, when I saw him on the schedule, my first thought was,